My name is Kaylee. This is Heavy Chef, South Africa's biggest and fastest growing entrepreneur organization designed to stimulate positive change in this country from the ground up, instead of waiting solely for a top-down approach. Now today we're going to be talking about the importance of community to the entrepreneurial journey, and we're talking to none other than Shaun Duvet. Shaun is an entertainment entrepreneur. He is also the co-founder and director of Ultra South Africa, an event that brings 50,000 people together at one point in time. Ladies and gentlemen, Shaun Duvet on community building. Shaun, thank you so much for being with us today at the Waterfront.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Good. So let's start with your story. I mean, You're a legend in the industry. Of course, everybody knows you. But how is it that you find yourself as a DJ?
Sure. It's interesting, kind of preparing for this. Firstly, it's very honored to be here, and it's I'm excited to be a part of this whole journey. And when the topic was brought to me in terms of community building, I'd never really thought about it as much as I have when now kind of preparing, for this conversation and, for the talk and everything. And I think, I had to reverse engineer everything in my life to kind of understand what it's all about, and it's quite interesting. And in the process of it all, I like to take things around me that happen there and then to help piece it all together. And last week, my daughter, Bella, 8 years old, came to me and she said, Dad, when you were my age, what did you want to be when you grow up, And it's quite funny because I can specifically remember, she's going into grade 3, which was standard 1 back in the day for me.
For me too, don't worry.
I was in Mr. Parker's classroom in Fairmount Primary School, Johannesburg, and put up my hand and said, I want to be a DJ.
Wow.
Now at that point, I didn't know about nightclubs and music festivals and all of that stuff, but, kind of driving to school every day, I guess I was like, hypnotized by the guy on the radio playing cool music and just having everybody like locked into what he was saying and what music he was playing and everything. And it was just quite interesting that sparked this. So I guess, so that's kind of where it all began, so to speak. Anyway, fast track forward to about like 16, 17 years old, discovered house music and club culture really, like where my parents lived in Johannesburg. It was down the road from House Africa Records and 206, a nightclub down the road. And I guess I was just at that like age, just discovering new things, new sounds, and would go down to the record store every day and just listen to music and just like get sucked into this world of just playing records and like electronic music, and then started collecting and buying music and all of that. And the next evolution was to get into the nightclubs and see it getting played live and like, wow, what is going on here? Like this whole magical environment all kind of locked into this music and all of these people dancing and having a great time. And so 206 was the club that I snuck into. I mean, I was too young to get in there. I was 16, 17 years old and just kind of kept on going week in and week out, out and listening to the music and just loving it. And I get to meet the owner. And I said, listen, you got to give me a shot, man. I can DJ, I can do this thing, And anyway, started playing in like the back room of the club, and just slowly started, kind of bringing my friends, into it all, and bringing the party. And then like every Saturday night, our little back room just started like exploding and expanding, and people started getting into the music and the culture and quickly bringing it back into what a community is all about. I guess it was organically like starting for me at that point, and like-mindedly started bringing in DJs who were playing the same music as me to play on the nights. I then started bringing in international DJs, and then started like creating my own nights to perform, and then at that point it was everything and all encompassing, and to get the club running. So from playing the music to marketing to bringing the artist out, to filling the club, essentially building this community around the music and around the club culture and like, what it was all about. And I guess, that just kind of organically like happened and more the club just got busier and busier,
And was that at a young age? Because that's the evolution from artist to entrepreneur, right?
I guess so, yeah. I mean, I was 17, 18 years old at the time, I then studied and then kind of came, but the whole time I was still playing and throwing parties and
promoting.
Studied
in that line, right?
Yeah, well, look, you know what? I thought law would be my calling. Okay. I did a week, and then jumped into marketing, which was very like a comfortable space for me, So I guess at that point I had this love of music and this kind of like natural fit for marketing. So, just kind of that worked for me.
And the two go very well together, right?
Yeah, totally. I then, after studying, I went to London for a year, like any kid does their gap year, well, at that time. And DJing at different clubs, throwing different parties. I was bringing South African DJs in. And then got locked into pirate radio, which was cool, like we were just like DJing in, pirate radio in London is about like kind of getting a frequency and like promoting that frequency and like telling like everybody who can hear you in your borough that's where you should kind of lock in and listen to these DJs,
Got you. So it was DJing as well as almost interviewing, because you were a host as well. So it was a bit of both, or mainly DJing?
It was mainly DJing and a bit of hosting as well, but it was more just about like, again, this community and this like culture, this like fit of all of these guys getting together. And we did some dodgy stuff, man. Like because it was illegal, the pirate radio, so like we used to perform, like play the shows in like car washes to like to derelict buildings and all this stuff. And anyway, again, like it just came down back again to like the community and the culture. Like we didn't care what trouble we could have potentially got into, but for us it was just about like the cause and like playing this cool music. And
I mean, that's a good question, is because a lot of people start out in the art, right? So they'll be a DJ or they'll be a presenter, and down the line they look back and they're doing 5% of their time is the art form and 95% is all of this admin.
Sure.
And I think my question is, sure, you've built this amazing community, but at the end of the day, like, you're an entrepreneur and you started as an entertainment entrepreneur. How much of it is now actually entertaining people and more the surrounding services at this point in your life?
It's interesting, like it's as cheesy as like it sounds. If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. I mean, I throw parties and I love it. So like it is all encompassing and it's very serious right now. But at the same time, I only work with like-minded brands and people, that are form part of like the community and the culture, and that's, I think, like the secret sauce and the ingredient to success. So I mean, just backtracking. I know there's so much to get through, but I'll try and capsize
no worries.
further. Like at that point, I create like there was a radio show by Masters at Work called Anything Goes, and I loved the name, so I kind of started throwing parties around that name, and it was the music that I was playing, and then I created the agency, which was an agency for eventing, and marketing and branding, right? Which was essentially throwing the parties, but also working with the sponsorship at the same time. And it was always key for me to understand what the brands wanted so that I could deliver the same from the parties at the same time, I then opened up my first nightclub called the Bang Bang Club.
Oh yes, I remember. I used to go to your nightclub.
Frequent the club. And that was a good chance for me, because I was kind of concurrently running the agency as well as the club at the same time. But because the club, we're trading 4 to 5 nights a week, each night had a different identity. And because each night had a different identity, it gave me the chance to tap into different brand identities and create different packages per brand. So, in terms of the liquor trade, I got really stuck into it, which I'm still very much a part of today. And so it evolved and just always loving the music and the party side of it. It just evolved, and as time went on, so did the industry and so did the scene evolve. I mean, fast track to, I think it was 2010 or whatever it was, like dance music just like blew up globally. I think it really happened when David Guetta kind of crossed over with the Black Eyed Peas to make, that urban crossover record. Yeah. And it was a time where like deadmau5 was the biggest act in the world, he was an artist I really wanted to bring out. And I mean, I'd never thrown shows on that scale before, and I teamed up with my partner today, we still is my partner today, and we went out, and it was a good 1.5 year process of getting the artist, but we booked him, and we did our first tour up to 30,000 people. Wow. Johannesburg, Durban and Cape Town. And I did it with Olmeca Tequila from the brand side of things. That evolved further to started bringing out more solo artist tours, Swedish House Mafia, Skrillex, Avicii, Carl Cox, Hardwell, all these big Steve Aoki, all these big massive tours around the country. And then it kind of evolved further where the market was coming back and saying we want a festival now. Yes. we want everybody together. And at that point, through the touring circuit and bringing the artists in, we were very close with the Ultra Miami team, the production team, and we just hit it off and we started discussing the opportunity of bringing the brand to the country. And that
was in 2014, right?
Yeah,
that was the first Ultra,
Yeah, exactly. So we started negotiations around 2012, and it happened, and we brought it. So Ultra was on a global expansion at the time, and still is very much so. And we brought the festival to the country, which has been amazing. And I mean, at the end of the day, the backbone and the silver lining and the thread and the culture and the community of it is all about that DJ and all about the music and all. That's the epicenter of it all. The layers from the brands and like their different, what they want to get out of it are the layers on top of all of that, and that kind of collectively makes all the magic happen together. So having this festival, this playing field of not only artists to work with, but all the subcultures of the music that they also have, so house music has got like, a following, and what is the substance of house music and that following, and then you dig deeper into like techno music and what do they want, what do those music lovers want, to drum and bass, to psytrance, and there's just all these beautiful subcultures that the festival gave me this beautiful world of everything, and that kind of community was a great place to work with, and then layering brands and activations over on top of that became the next step to work with.
And I mean, you guys grew. I saw the first Ultra had about 15,000 people, right? And then last year was 50.
Yeah, between the two, the first one we did about 30,000, and there's been constant growth over the years. Yeah, so about 50,000.
And what do you attribute that growth to?
Well, I think it's a good question. With each festival we do, we learn more. We learn more about the market. We learn how to deliver more to the market, give the people what they want. The market is growing. People do love to go out and enjoy themselves. I think we push our marketing. We put our best foot forward to make sure to deliver the best show possible. I think from a technical perspective, I mean, there's nothing like it in the country, and we're very proud of that. And every year we change, from the stage designs to the lineups to everything, So
you've got that community that's obviously gathering at your event, and then are you also ring fencing it from a digital arena? So do you have?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I think let's talk to that. I mean, let's talk to how you've actually ring fenced the community from a digital arena.
I mean, like totally. When I think about my history of like doing shows and promoting, I mean, I've without trying to sound like whatever, I've done it all. Like I was handing out flyers on street corners in like Louis Vuitton and like putting up posters on midnight not to get arrested, and it's just evolved to like such a digital like kind of world right now. And much like handing out those flyers on the street corner, I got to know as much as I need to know which corners to do at what time to get the right market and all of that stuff. I've got to understand now from a digital world, where is my market at? What are they talking to? What music are they listening to? How do I communicate to them? How do I give it to them? So everything from, our search engine optimization to, our analytics, to our banners, to, our full digital strategies, to our social campaigns, to our email blasts, to absolutely everything. It's a very calculated and strategic approach that we take with the festival, and digital's got a huge part to play in it. We have a through the line approach, obviously, from the festival, from radio through to TV, through to billboards, through to buses. I mean, we go full on, But at the end of the day, digital is the only medium that we can track. And I have this conversation a lot of the time with our media buyers and stuff, and that are trying to sell us billboards and trying to do billboard deals. And for me, it's those are branding exercises as opposed to, well, they are marketing exercises, but then they're not, they're just there for awareness at the end of the day, because that's all that it's become. So in terms of messaging, you've got to be very clear that what you put up on a billboard is different to what you put out in an emailer, and to what you put out in a mobile advert, or to a 15-second like ad campaign that's going to run through YouTube. So you've really got to have a good solid understanding of the full marketing mix. And the reality with digital is that it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I mean, I have a fantastic team, and that's very much where anything goes as an agency. Comes in, as the branded entertainment agency, which is what we are. It is very much like the heartbeat from the marketing side of the festival and everything else that we do. So we have an incredible team that keeps growing and invests time into understanding the next steps and how to deliver the messages at the end of the day.
Sure, and I think because a lot of people want to build community, they realize that it's really, really valuable to have a community that you have ring fence. I want to take us back and say, if you have a team around you that's going to help you build that community, who do you think needs to be in that team, and what expertise do you need in that team now?
Look, I think before anything else, before anyone, you need to have culture. And you need to have, you need to be with like-minded people, and you got to have a common goal. I've got a lot of great team members, and I do interviews quite regularly with people wanting to come in and work. And the first question I ask them when they sit down is, "What music do you like? Seriously, what music are you into? Where do you go out? What is it about?" Because if you have a knack for marketing and a knack for understanding, we can pick it up, because together as a team, we'll help facilitate it all together. But if you can't click, if you can't be with the common goal of what we're all talking about, it's just not going to work. That for me is a lot more important than anything else. So if I've got like a strong digital guy who's going to come in, but just doesn't fit the picture, but has got paperwork, looking incredible on paper, but when he comes into the office, he doesn't work, it won't work. Right. It won't work. As opposed to somebody who will sit down and talk about their love for what it is that we do and how they feel like they can be a part of it. They may not be the best on paper, but for me, there's a lot more value in having that person get involved. I think it's marketing is critical. Understanding the scene is critical. Obviously, having a good head on your shoulders from a digital perspective is critical. Understanding how ticketing works is very important as well. It's also an ever-changing game. Sales is obviously critical. At the end of the day, we're there to sell tickets, for the shows. And how do we make that consumer journey work best? So having a good overall kind of understanding of the consumer journey, from when somebody is interested in what it is that you want to sell them, what the show, to what kind of music they're into, how do we communicate to them, how do we then sell them that ticket? How do we then keep them? If they don't want to sell that ticket, how do we then remarket to them?
Gotcha.
So, it's understanding. And at the end of the day, as much as a digital world that we live in, it's people.
It's understanding humans,
exactly.
Human behavior, and the drivers, right? The drivers of why they do what they do.
Completely. Yeah. So, and I think it's like a snowball effect, because with the advent of new marketing and ideas, as long as you've got that team and that culture and that fit and that community, and you all in it and learning together, you will just keep on growing and building. I think, and that's very much what it's about. I think if I take, and different, because there's other stuff that I'm involved in as well. From the festival side, the Corona Sunsets Festival is another property that I produce and with my team and partner in and all of that stuff. And it's very much built, in the same kind of way around music, but it's more lifestyle orientated, and it's also about having these pillars of communities that help build the festival up. That what makes Ultra different to Corona, and why is that? What is the reasoning for it? Coco, my nightclub, is very much a high premium bottle service nightclub at the end of the day. But it's built on a certain culture and community, that was different from the Bang Bang Club. But at the same time, it's all about the community that it's built on and the culture that it thrives off. And it's about understanding that culture and understanding that community and how to give people what it is that they want. And I mean, I've always said this, for me and the work that I do from the entertainment side, being the nightclub has always been this playground for me that is always setting the path for what's next, because from fashion through to music through to culture through to I hate to use the word influencers, but
sure.
all of these people, all these things are just happening in this like cool and crazy world, and the brands want to be a part of it as well, you know, and they've also got their identities, and I feel like from my side it's important to extract that magic and put it together, that it works from the brand side and it works from our side. So, and putting it together, you know, like another good example is Budweiser is also a great client. We do a lot of work with them, and recently we launched Budweiser within like the scene in Braamfontein and Johannesburg with Mixmag, which is I mean, for me to work with Mixmag as well as Budweiser, but for me, for Mixmag, growing up as a DJ, it was like one of the Bibles I read growing up about like the coolest new music that was coming out by the coolest DJs, and they've never kind of come into South Africa before, you know. So they have the Mixmag Lab, which is a live stream, you know, which is a platform obviously for DJs to go out there and perform on this platform and play to the world, you know. So when the strategy came about to team up Mixmag and Budweiser for South Africa, you know, the intention was for Budweiser to get into the community, into the music, the club, the nightlife, energy community, and like build it up from there. And so we went on to create a 3-month campaign, which happened every single Wednesday night at Shaun Studios in Braamfontein for 200 people, where we brought about all the like coolest up and coming underground DJs from around the world, as well as like Johannesburg and Cape Town and Durban, everywhere, right, to play from like the Mixmag stream. And you know, we like invited everybody from Moonchild through to Tira, Mapuriza. Like, these guys are big, and they're bigger, and they're only getting bigger, but this platform gave them an opportunity to dip into like a global circle, because it was like being fed through the Mixmag kind of platform. You know, people in Portland and wherever were watching like Tira, and they're like, what music is this, you know? Playing, you know, I'm a piano to people like in Miami. It was nuts, you know, and you watch the comments, and that community just got like built up like through every single week and every single show, and I think it's just fantastic. And I think collaborations are key as well, but collaborations only work in community building if that fit is natural and comfortable.
Core to your community is music.
Very much
Lovers of music. And apart from music, if you could use other words to describe community, and we're going to close off on that, what would that be? You know, what is your community, what has it been built around?
Culture is key. Culture is everything. You know, music is the, like I say, like the epicenter of it, but music kind of then like breaks out into like culture, you know. And if you take things like as an interesting example, like with the Coco lifestyle from the hip hop community, where hip hop is now, it's very different to where it was. Like, you know, when I got into hip hop, listening to A Tribe Called Quest and, you know, all of that stuff, it was very, I've got to be careful how I say it, but it was very like thought-provoking hip hop, very like lyrical and that kind of thing. But now hip hop is in a place, and it's forever changing, you know, but it's A, it's about the music, but B, it's about the swag, and it's about what comes with the swag, and why is the swag there, and how proud these guys are to go out there and work hard and get a $40,000 chain. And what does that culture mean to them to be able to own that chain and, like, you know, get something like a face tattoo? Because at the end of the day, what does that mean? You know, some people would say that it's, you know, what are you going to do in 20 years time? But, you know, you talk to that kid who comes back and, you know, watching people like Lil Wayne grow up, he's going to say, like, you know, I got this face tat because I'm never going to work for a boss the rest of my life. This is how committed I am to my art and my culture. And, you know, you got to see it from that angle. And I think it's beautiful, you know. So I think culture is key in building communities. For me, and what I do, music is very much the epicenter of it. And I guess those are the two words. And yeah, and understanding the marketing side is also super important.
Cool. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Shaun Duvet on his journey towards becoming an entertainment entrepreneur, and a very, very successful entertainment entrepreneur at that. But what we're most interested in at Heavy Chef is the fact that as part of his entrepreneurial journey, he has built a community that in 2019 at the Ultra South African Festival was 50,000 people strong. Now, that community has been built around the central premise of music and the culture that surrounds music. But it is of interest to all entrepreneurs that building a community is a large part of a successful strategy. Now, if you'd like to find out how to build communities from more people such as Shaun Duvet, then of course you can check out Heavy Chef, and that is at www.heavychef.com. And do not forget to like, comment and subscribe on this video. Enkosi kakhulu, hamba kahle.